If you're still new to cryptos and NFTs, you're probably not used to all these crazy market dips that we experience, so I'm going to talk about my plan and what I do whenever there is a market dip. I'm Alex Sheets. I'm chasing financial freedom and recording my journey along the way and everything I get interested in, so make sure you subscribe and follow for more. Within the past month, Bitcoin was up to $60,000 as of the beginning of the month, and now it's dropped all the way down to about $48,000, and it's stayed there fairly consistently for the past week or so. Along with Bitcoin dropping, it's caused a lot of other cryptocurrencies and NFT projects to drop and go along with it. The main thing that I focus on whenever there is a massive dip like this is I make sure that I don't panic sell and get out of the investments I've already invested in. For the current time, I really don't have that much money that I can go and invest in projects that I find interested in and I think are going to do really well. Due to this, there's almost always more projects that I would like to be invested in, even though I can't afford to invest in all of them. I'm sure this is the case for a lot of people as well that are just starting out and just getting into it. They don't have that much money to throw into crypto or NFTs or anything like that. So you have to be really picky about those first few projects that you invest into to make sure that you don't lose your money. For myself, pretty much all of the money that I've invested into cryptos and NFTs has all came from my mining passive income that I've had set up since basically 2017. The only exception to this is I did just recently pull out $5,000 to invest into my first strong node. That did not come from my mining profits. The reason I decided to take that $5,000 out to invest into the strong node is essentially because of the market dip that we experienced. The price of strong actually dropped from about $1,200 a coin all the way down to $400 to $500, and it fluctuated between there. That's essentially the key to my main strategy for market dips, is make sure that whenever there is a dip that you're taking advantage of it. That's a great time to get into projects that you feel are going to really succeed and do really well into the future. I also just have faith in the projects that I believe in, and kind of the research that I've done for myself is I truly believe that I'm looking for the best projects out there, and I'm only investing in the best projects just because I don't have enough of that money to invest in. So the ones that I do choose to invest in, I'm making sure that they're some of the best ones out there in my opinion. You also have to be aware of that when you do invest in a market dip, that a lot of times that dip can actually go lower. You may have only bought in at the beginning of it or in the middle or somewhere near the end, that it could still end up going lower. That brings me to my biggest rule for investing for myself, and what should be your biggest rule as well, is essentially you only invest with money that you can afford to go to absolutely zero. For the most part, whenever I put money into a project, I just plan on holding it for a very long time, normally multiple years. With that in mind, that I'm not going to sell for years, essentially when I do end up selling is I try to sell once I've basically doubled my money, because then at that point I can take out my initial investment and still leave about the same amount in, so that it has the potential to grow in the future, but I also have basically all of my risk off the table. For example, with the strong node that I just purchased, I'm actually not going to be taking my risk off the table as soon as I possibly can. I'm going to be letting my money stay in there and compound and grow so I can get multiple nodes before I pull that money back off, and I'm only playing with the house money. As for NFTs at this point, I really don't have that much Ethereum to play with, so I really am buying in at cheaper, less expensive products that I really believe are going to be successful in the long run. So I'm not even looking at selling any of my NFTs in the very near future. I'm basically anticipating waiting at least a year or 2 or 5 at minimum. Due to that, I barely even pay attention to the daily price of Ethereum, Bitcoin, or other cryptocurrencies, just because I have such a long-term mindset and such a long-term goal in mind. Another thing to note is that I do see an inevitable NFT drop in the near future. I think a lot of projects are going to go to zero, and I think when that happens, even the good projects are going to significantly decrease in value, just because there's going to be a massive sell-off and people are going to think, oh, it's a fad, oh, it's not going to be here to stay, when in reality, there are a lot of projects out there that are going to go to zero and stay to zero, but among those projects, there are also the really good ones that are going to go to probably near zero and then going to go back up in the coming years after that. So I do plan on taking advantage of that as best I can. An example of a project that I believe is going to survive the NFT winter is like Deadheads and VFriends. So that's essentially how I try to minimize my risk, is I don't focus on the short term, I'm more focused on the long term, and I only invest in projects that I truly believe are going to be around between 2 to 5 years in the future or more. So to recap, for the main points that I make sure to be aware of in a market dip is I make sure I do not panic sell whenever a dip happens. I try to my best to get in and take advantage of the dip for projects that I want to be in that I previously couldn't afford. And then I make sure that whenever I do get into a project, I'm in it for the long term, not the short term. If you have any questions about cryptos, NFTs, or you want me to look into any projects that you're interested in, please leave them in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to get back to each and every single one of them as fast as I possibly can. I want to take this time to thank everyone for watching and give an extra thank you to everyone that has commented, liked, and subscribed. It really means a lot and really helps my channel grow, and I just appreciate it so much. So thank you, and I'll see you all in the next video.